Hi there, I'm Don.
And hi, I'm Cindy. Welcome to Pearls of Liberty, December 8th, 2012. Only a couple more weeks till the end of the world. The phrase that we hear repeated over and over and over again is Fiscal Cliff.
No, not the Fiscal Cliff.
The Fiscal Cliff.
Not the Fiscal Cliff.
The best thing I've heard about the Fiscal Cliff is let's throw Congress off the Fiscal Cliff. But Don has some other thoughts.
Yeah, it's become increasingly obvious. If you have a propaganda awareness button, which hopefully most of us in the Liberty movement are developing, this thing is screaming loud and clear, manipulation, manipulation, this Fiscal Cliff, Fiscal Cliff. We've known, yes, it's true that we are in financial straits, have been for some time. It's because the powers that be, the money masters, are holding the people hostage, and until they get us to enslave ourselves. And their latest technique for getting us to enslave ourselves is the cry of Fiscal Cliff, tax the rich. Now, the rich already pay, the super rich, I don't know, however you want to define it, the ultra rich pay already 90% of the taxes in America. And if you're average like us, your income tax rate is upwards of 30%. So you want more? This is what we have to do. Look, all this is because they've contracted the money supply. Expand the money supply, the economy booms. This is as old as the hills. This is just manipulation, pure and simple. Yes, Obama can bring us to the brink of disaster to prove that we're going off a fiscal cliff. This is the old sociopathic game, and he's a master at it. So the only solution is for the people to wake up and say, oh, no, you don't. Let's get real. And there are voices of reason in the financial world, both left and right. We just need to educate ourselves and listen to them. People like Stephen Zarlenga, the American Monetary Institute, monetary.org. There are solutions. They have been for some time. Bill Still, who put out the Money Masters 2 DVD set in the 90s, and the Secret of Oz within the last few years, these are great and help educate you that it's all about manipulation of the money supply and blackmailing the people. Don't fall for it.
So we need to say, oh no you didn't. And another thought about the repeated phrase fiscal cliff is that it's being used to prepare people to accept the global financial reset, which might mean transitioning from FRNs into treasury notes and some other changes. Do you think it's possible that that's why they're parroting Fiscal Cliff?
Not here in America. I don't think that is the reason why. That would require a good motive to try to manipulate the sheeple into accepting a devaluation of the dollar internally as the Treasury begins to print a different note, not a debt note, but a true currency that's backed by assets of the United States, and that's going to, from what we've heard, be about a 40% reduction in value, but it's going to cause industries to come home in America, etc., etc. So if they were using that rallying cry to try to get people to buy into that, that would be one thing. I don't think that's what's happening. That movement is largely being driven by the BRICS nations, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, and that may indeed happen. That's actually our hope, that we begin to function in a world where the currencies are backed by real assets, even though whenever a government declares anything a currency, it is by definition fiat. So this whole cry of fiat currencies is a bit bogus to begin with. You declare gold the currency, that's a gold fiat currency. Gold does not have any inherent value. Yeah, you can make pretty things with them and some electronic things with them, but it's really not the value of the commodity itself. We don't want to have money be about commodity trading. We want to have money be about a legally approved means of, it's a creature of law, true money is. Otherwise, you're just bartering with an agreed upon barter instrument. That's okay too. We need that as a foundation for a free society. But once it gets beyond a certain level, then there needs to be some kind of a currency that's accepted by all the people, that is going to have the trust of the people at large for a greater exchange, including internationally. And then there will be international pairings based on true valuation. The only reason we have the dollar functioning right now as the world reserve currency, and that's what may end very soon, and that is the real fiscal cliff whenever that ends. But even then, it's not going to be a cliff. It's going to be a slow, or not slow, but a slide, not an immediate drop. It's going to mean that the dollar is no longer the default currency, that it has been the petrodollar since 1971, and when we went off the gold standard. And it's basically an energy controlled banking mafia that's running things because of the way that's structured. That's what we need to get out of. So I don't think that there's a good motive behind this fiscal cliff thing, but God can turn anything that's intended for evil for good. So hey, that is a welcome possibility should it get turned around to that.
This week, well actually just today, we found a couple of interesting videos, and one we know is excellent, the other we haven't completely vetted the information yet, but I will briefly mention it anyway. Lawless America, which is a YouTube channel, and we have a video link to a Walter Burian video, and these appear to be videos that pull together, just galvanize some of the issues and some of the people who are experiencing them, to let people know that America is no longer a U.S. republic, and it's time for the American people to insist that our government of the people, by the people, and for the people are returned to us. And the Stefan Molyneux video is excellent, and I think Don wants to give a little summary.
Yeah, there's a whole series of Stefan Molyneux videos that I wasn't aware of that are just coming out, and I listened to number 6 of that, and it's basically all about psychopathic control of society and how to become more and more aware of that. And there's just amazing nuggets of truth that Stefan Molyneux puts out there. One that I caught near the end was that if you're aware of psychological theory at all, you know this whole principle of the unconscious being where you bury things that are too difficult to face. And what Mr. Molyneux does is explain that the unconscious isn't an inherently scary thing. It's our mechanism that we use as a society to deal with the evil that the social controllers throw at us, which it's just too much for us to handle. But humanity is awakening, and we're able more and more to deal with these things on a conscious level, and we need to if we're to come out of that enslavement. So this whole deeply embedded fear of the unknown is actually a mechanism that enables us to repress what we can't deal with, the sociopathic controllers and the evil Gordian knots they tie our minds into, so that, as he puts it, they can pick our pockets and steal our children. Incredible stuff. To that humanity is becoming aware of this, less and less able to be manipulated. And if you're not aware of where Stefan Molyneux comes from, he is an anarchist, and if you think that anarchy is about burning down and breaking things, then you've got the wrong idea. That's the propagandized version of anarchy. But anarchism as a philosophy is about being able to rule ourselves so that we don't need a government to impose their rule upon us. It's all really about personal liberty and personal freedom. So I recommend watching those, getting into that. About the Walter Burian group, which is what it seems to be called Lawless America, I don't particularly like the title, the way that they've branded it, because that makes it sound like all we need is, just on the surface, I know that's not what it is, but it makes it sound like this is a group that just wants to have law and order restored to America, and we need more of this police state stuff, which is of course the exactly opposite of what's intended. Walter Burian was the man who uncovered the policy of what's become known as CAFRs, or comprehensive annual financial reports or reporting, as the mechanism by which municipalities and governments at all levels are able to continue to steal from the people by saying, oh, we're over budget, we need more, by continuing to have this off-budget money that's a part of the comprehensive annual financial reports and needs to be put where people can see it, but it's hidden, and that's the problem. So I've been wondering what Walter Burian is up to. Highly respect what he's done so far in terms of revealing what's going on in the financial mismanagement of America at the city, county, local level, but across the board. And so this is exciting to find out that he's doing this venture, and we're looking forward to learning more about it.
There has been a lot of talk following the elections about Proposition 37, and John Rappaport in particular has written several blogs about it. And I think because there's the sorrow of the loss that it wasn't passed, I think a lot of us want to just kind of forget it, move on. But John Rappaport keeps hammering this point about Proposition 37 failing and the triumph of GMO foods. And his new blog is, one of his new blogs, there's been a couple since, at least one since, is about Proposition 37 as controlled opposition.
Right, and this is a really, really important idea, so I hope you catch it, and the blog is worth reading, because John's a very clear thinker and he presents his ideas very well. The idea is that even if Proposition 37 had won, and it probably actually did win, but there was deceptive vote counting and corruption that caused it to, quote, fail. Even if it did win, Monsanto and the GMO industry would have been okay with it, because it's all about just labeling. It's not about informing people at all about the health risks of GMOs. That was never the campaign of the Prop 37 Yes people. They were only about labeling. So you can see they've already got the blinders on, and that's something that the GMO industry would have been able to live with, and probably still would be fine living with. They want a world in which there's just free choice for everything. You just label it or not if they can get away with it. But as soon as you start saying, no, we know what the health risks are, they're horrible, this stuff causes cancer, this is inhuman to be having people ingest this unknowingly, or even if you label it and then they just eat it anyway, it's still wrong. So one of the very encouraging things that I read in this blog is that there are 3 counties in California, not to mention that there's countries worldwide that have banned GMOs, but there are 3 counties in California that have banned GMOs. They're Marin and Trinity and Mendocino counties have all banned GMOs, and I'm happy about that. That is really rocking. We need that movement to grow. We can't take let's just try this fight one more time about getting the labeling to go, and then we'll kind of take it from there and accelerate it, and then we can educate people after we do that. No, we have to cut to the chase on this, because we have been outmaneuvered, whether it's fraudulently or propaganda-wise or whatever, but we can't let that continue to happen. We have to go for the real position that people that understand what GMOs are about, the position that we should be taking is saying no and not allowing our food to be adulterated and made into a poison, which is what it is. The pesticides, herbicides are built into the food. They do tests on animals for a short period of time and show that they're not hurt, so therefore it's okay, whereas grass generally recognized as safe. And that just doesn't cut it. This is like saying, yeah, it's legal to put poison in water, just label it. No, it's not okay. It needs to be outlawed. It needs to be banned. People need to recognize that we are dealing with people that really do not have our health interest at heart. They really are trying to kill us. There really is a population control agenda. People like the U.S. Science Czar are a part of making sure that agenda is brought in across the board, across the country. And it's time for people to stand up and say no. No GMOs, no poison in my food, because that's what it is.
This week, Verizon applied for a patent for a DVR device that will watch people as they watch television and process the information, and the technology will craft advertising that is specifically targeted at those people. So for instance, if there's an argument going on, they might have an advertisement for a marriage counselor. This is just too intense of a violation of privacy, and the reality is, you know, your cable boxes and a lot of your devices have little black holes, and God knows what some of them are, right? I hope this isn't already going on, but the fact that there's now a patent application, if it's not going on, it's definitely in the works.
Yeah, all of these communication devices have this technology built in them because of federal mandates. Yeah, they're built in other countries, but in order for them to be sold here, they have to be FCC approved. You thought that was for your protection and for standardization and all those kind of good purposes. No, it's actually to create a police state. Whether it's the government spying on you or it's private industry spying on you to try to make a buck off you, doesn't really matter. This is stuff that's violating your right to privacy, your inherent freedoms, and we have to become aware of them, expose them, and that's what we're doing. So yeah, look for those little holes, cover them with tape, or do what you need to do.
And talk very quietly or play music while you talk. I don't know. It's difficult to protect yourself completely. I guess ideally you might not have any devices, or at least have certain rooms where you don't have any electronic devices. Lindsey Williams was on Alex Jones' InfoWars, and he had supposedly 10 points. I think I could only count 3 or 4 of what the plans are for the Illuminati coming up. One that he emphasized a lot that is very near and dear to our hearts is he suggested to people, he stated very strongly to people, you need to learn how to become your own doctor. And that's near and dear to our hearts because we made a determination a while ago that the healthcare system is really not helping most people. It's actually, medical intervention is the #1 cause of death in the United States. So we put together a little video, but we also have mentioned before that we've joined with our friend Dr. Noah and another friend and have a website called Dr. You, to which you can go and learn about a lot of natural, I want to use the word cures, but we're not supposed to, natural therapies that work, and videos, ebooks, many suggestions for health. And it's just one of the places. There's Health Ranger and Dr. Mercola, but take Lindsey's advice and learn to be your own doctor. And we have a video in our notes that you can watch if you so desire.
You can easily learn more about any condition you have than any doctor you go to that is designed to with who has treatments that don't really treat, they just mask the symptoms. That's what the whole pharmaceutical industry is designed to do, just mask the symptoms. If you become your own naturopathic type doctor, then you can learn how to get to the roots of these issues that you have. And Cindy and I have done this on our own lives and highly recommend it. You break free of the system. Yeah, there's certain conditions that people may have, but even ones like type 2 diabetes can be overcome with diet. So there is a lot you can do.
Yeah, do what you can to break free. And Dr. Yu has a lot of suggestions. And there's also PubMed.gov. If you are taking any prescription medications and you have some time, it's a very good idea to go spend the time on PubMed.gov. Do searches for health problems related to the prescription drugs you're taking, and you might just be floored. It might be enough to get you to want to get out of the pharmaceutical medical system. So go for it. Another thing that Lindsey Williams mentioned, one of the other 10, I guess, is that Obama is resisting development of U.S. oil reserves. And this has been going on for a long time, not just Obama. But we all know that there is a lot of oil, a lot of natural gas resources in the U.S., and they have remained untapped. And now there's technology that makes them a lot easier to tap into. And Benjamin Fulford also mentioned this week that U.S. oil and natural gas are very soon very likely to be developed.
Yeah, I personally think that what Obama's up to is he is just raising the stakes. He wants to get as much as he can for those permits that will enable private industry to tap and drill into the new discoveries, the shale oil reserves, etc. So he's going to hold off until he can get top dollar for them, and I think that's what's going on. It's just, and that ties into the Porter Stansberry argument about Obama really being able to set up this socialized society because he's got this incredible wealth from the oil boom that he sees coming. So that's what I think is going on, and it's, on one hand, I have to say, well, that's a good thing that Obama is standing up to big oil, but you need to look beyond that. It's much more than that that's going on. This is somebody that does have a Marxist background, that is looking to set up a socialist state in which he can buy the votes that he needs to have to stay in power. So nothing is as simple as it seems. Learn to look beneath the surface, and Obama's not a good guy because he's stopping big oil. He's not a bad guy because he's stopping big oil. He's playing a game that is beyond the view of most people until you expand your horizons and learn how to think like these guys think.
And we continue to hear rumblings that Obama has made deals with the Dragon family. He's going to help institute the changes to the banking system. And then we hear from dinar followers, gurus, if you want to use that term, that Obama is blocking the new banking system. So we haven't said a whole lot about some of these rumors because it's virtually impossible to sort out what's real and what's disinfo. So you're on your own with that. Although Fulford did say something that his blog this last week, he wrote a lot of things that made a lot of sense. One is that big oil has made a deal with Japan to introduce new energy technology, which has been rumored for a long time that Japan has, gradually over the next 100 years. So if you're hoping to get one of those little magical black boxes that runs your home on electricity, if Big Oil has anything to say about that, you might have to wait 100 years or so.
Another reason to get into being your own doctor, so you can live long.
That's right. That's a good point.
I also wanted to briefly point out that the trap that I see Lindsey Williams falling into, looking back at this thing, he talked about different factions and he talked about Obama being rogue. And my view is that Lindsey views the elites as his oil baron buddies, or the guys that he calls them elites, but they're really just very big dogs in the oil world. But if you look at the comprehensive view of the elite from somebody like Fritz Springmeier, who sees the Illuminati, or Alex Jones, who talks about globalist controllers, those guys are really only one faction. The other faction, that is the National Socialist faction. They're pro-industry and pro-privatization, and therefore a partnership of industry and government, and that is National Socialism or Nazism. So then you've got the other faction, which is the Fabian socialist factions, and they're the Aldous Huxley Brave New World, let's drug the people so they love their slavery, and we'll provide a very high level of maintenance and welfare and keep the people on the dole and keep them happy. Well, those are the two different factions of the New World Order, and Obama definitely falls into the second faction. So Lindsey's going to see him as being rogue, but what you really have going on is wars between these two factions of the New World Order, and that is how they play the game. They vie for control because these are two different management styles, but this is their whole philosophy, is the survival of the fittest. So that's what they want to have happen. So don't be overly excited if you see Obama taking on Big Oil. It's not necessarily the good guys that he's fighting for.
There is some potentially very good news on the energy front, and that is that the Keshe Foundation went and knocked on doors of nations and can we give you free energy? Can we give you technology that allows for space travel, almost instantaneous travel? And
what? And lose control of our sheeple? Why would we want to do that?
That's pretty much how they answered. Very few countries, I guess, rolled out the red carpet, and there's a whole story about red carpets that we won't tell right now, but maybe Don will. But Keshe has decided to make their technology available to individuals and companies to develop and market.
Hey!
We got that going.
Bypass the government, bypass the controllers, go right to the people. That's what we need.
Yeah.
And as soon as we can do that with money, then, yes, we're going to have a wonderful, idyllic world.
I can hardly wait. See? Peace.
Peace. Yes.
Peace. So, thank you for watching us this week, and peace to you in your home.
See the world the way that it really is. See yourself in it. Walk your walk. You are the one that you've been waiting for.